how is Joe Lieberman not really a progressive?
Well, the argument we're making, we just released a big report on Lieberman yesterday. And the argument we're making is that we'll concede that Lieberman was a stronger progressive a few years ago. He had a good record on environmental issues. He had a good record on civil rights issues. But over the past year or two, he has lurched to the right. And it's not just in foreign policy. I think that's the common myth, is that Lieberman is just bad in Iraq and he's with us 95% of the other time. But the real issue here is that he's actually bad on domestic policy too.
Yeah, I remember when he blocked the Hurricane Katrina investigation. Man, that made me so angry. But there's also a political side to this, which is it a smart move? Is it too early for a preemptive strike against Lieberman to remove him from that committee? Because there's still 3 Senate seats that are up in the air. We might get a filibuster-proof majority if we keep Lieberman. So is it too early to try to push him out the door?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to make any bold moves right now, but there's certainly something to be said for accountability, and he shouldn't. I don't think any Democrat really wants him to go scot-free. I hope no one does. But it should be said that he is not a strong progressive, and if you want a strong progressive vote to get you to 60 votes, he is not a reliable vote in this case, and that's what we try to prove here, is that if you're looking for 60 votes and say, the Republicans come up with something about offshore drilling and they want offshore drilling and they're going to filibuster, well, he very well might side with them on offshore drilling because Joe Lieberman has sided with McCain on offshore drilling. So he's not a strong vote here. So he may be the 59th vote in the Senate for Democrats, but don't count on him every time.
Well, I would never make the mistake of counting on Joe Lieberman. But there's a different question as to whether he should lose that committee chair or not, because here's the thing. I care a lot less about him now that the Democrats are in charge. Before, he would come out and be like, I'm a Democrat and I love the Republicans and I love John McCain and I love George Bush, and that did damage because it gave a false image of bipartisanship. But at this point, everybody gets that Lieberman is on the right wing, especially in foreign policy, but as you mentioned, some of the domestic policies. So is this just a purely vindictive act, like, okay, here's payback for what you did, which to some degree I have no problem with? Or is it important that he no longer serves as a chair of that committee because he might actually block some legislation that Obama wants to get passed?
I understand what you're saying. He's actually not a good committee chairman. He's blocked the Katrina investigations. He wouldn't investigate Blackwater. In 2007, he had 0 oversight hearings on the Bush administration. He clearly has an agenda he's pursuing here, and he's blocking the progressive agenda. I think Lieberman's argument is that I want to stay in the caucus. These people want to kick me out of the caucus. I think a lot of Democrats are saying, look, do whatever you want, but let's get you out of the committee chairmanship.
I want to know how that's going to play out in your estimation, of course, because now Obama seems to be saying, no, definitely keep him in the caucus. And I don't have a problem with him in the caucus because we might need him at some point, except that he's a little deceptive. There's a deceptive advertising, if you will, when he claims that he's a Democrat or with the Democrats in any way. But it's that committee chairmanship that I think matters. Is he going to play poker and say, well, now that Obama said he wants to be in the caucus, I'm going to say, hey, if you kick me out of my chairmanship, I'm going to leave the caucus. Has he gained some leverage there because of Obama's statement?
I think you should let him play his game. And I think we should say, look, okay, if you want to we're going to kick you out of the committee chairmanship, and it's your choice. You can caucus with the Republicans who are going to be in the minority and who are politically unpopular, who just lost an election in a massive landslide. You can caucus them all you want, go ahead, but we're going to strip you of our committee chairmanship. So I don't see a problem with the Democrats drawing a line in the sand and saying, all right, leave the caucus if you want. We're going to kick you out of the chairmanship. I think Harry Reid's talked about giving him a smaller subcommittee chairmanship, which I think Lieberman can deal with.